There are moments in life when the deepest pain does not come from strangers or enemies. It comes from the people we trusted the most. It comes from family. Joseph knew that pain. He was hated by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, falsely accused, forgotten in prison, and separated from everything he had ever known. Yet, his story did not end in the pit. It did not end in slavery, and it did not end behind prison walls. The story of Joseph is one of the most powerful stories in the Bible because it speaks to anyone who has ever felt betrayed, misunderstood, forgotten, or trapped in a situation they never chose. What do you do when life feels unfair? What do you do when people hurt you, when your plans fall apart, and when the future you imagined suddenly disappears? This is the story of Joseph, betrayed, forgotten, and finally forgiven. Joseph was the son of Jacob, who would later be called Israel. He grew up in a large family with 11 brothers, but Joseph was different from them. His father loved him deeply and gave him a special robe, a visible sign of honor and affection. That robe became a symbol of everything Joseph's brothers resented. They saw Joseph as their father's favorite. They saw him as someone who received more love, more attention, and more respect than they did. And then Joseph began to have dreams. In one dream, Joseph and his brothers were gathering bundles of grain in a field. Joseph's bundle stood upright, while the bundles of his brothers bowed down before it. In another dream, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed before him. To Joseph, these dreams felt important. Perhaps he believed they had a deeper meaning, but to his brothers, they sounded like arrogance. They looked at him and thought, does he really believe that one day he will rule over us? Their jealousy grew stronger, and jealousy, when it is fed long enough, can turn into something dangerous. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to find his brothers, who were caring for their father's flocks far from home. Joseph went looking for them, unaware that this ordinary journey would change the course of his entire life. As he approached them in the distance, wearing his distinctive robe, his brothers saw him coming, and they began to make a plan. Not a plan to speak with him, not a plan to forgive him, a plan to destroy him. When Joseph reached them, his brothers grabbed him. They tore away his robe and threw him into an empty pit. Imagine that moment. One day, Joseph was walking through the countryside, searching for his family. The next, he was alone in a dark hole in the ground, surrounded by fear, silence, and the voices of his brothers above him. At first, some of them wanted to kill him, but one brother, Reuben, convinced them not to take his life. Later, a caravan of traders passed by on its way to Egypt. Then Judah made another suggestion. Instead of killing Joseph, they would sell him, and so they did, for silver. Joseph was sold to strangers and carried away to Egypt. His brothers took his robe, covered it with animal blood, and brought it to their father. Jacob believed that Joseph had been killed by a wild animal. He mourned for his son. But Joseph was alive. Far from home, far from his father, far from everything familiar. He had lost his freedom, his family, and the future he thought he understood. But even in Egypt, Joseph's story was not over. In Egypt, Joseph was sold to a man named Potiphar, an official in Pharaoh's household. Joseph had every reason to give up. He could have become bitter. He could have stopped caring. He could have believed that his life no longer had meaning. But Joseph chose to work faithfully. He did what he could with what was placed in front of him. Over time, Potiphar saw that Joseph was wise, trustworthy, disciplined, and capable. He placed Joseph in charge of his household. For a moment, it seemed that Joseph's life was beginning to rise again. But then another injustice came. Potiphar's wife falsely accused Joseph of doing something he had not done. Joseph had chosen to do the right thing, yet he was punished anyway. He was thrown into prison. Once again, Joseph lost everything. Once again, he found himself in a place he never chose. A pit had led to slavery, and slavery had led to prison. For many people, this would have been the moment to lose hope completely. but Joseph continued to serve faithfully. Even there. The prison keeper noticed him and gave him responsibility over the other prisoners. Joseph could not control what happened to him, but he could control how he responded. And that made all the difference. While Joseph was in prison, 2 men from Pharaoh's court were also in prison there. The chief cupbearer and the chief baker both had disturbing dreams. Joseph told them that dreams could have meaning, and he listened carefully as they described what they had seen. Through God's guidance, Joseph explained their dreams, and his interpretations came true. The cupbearer was restored to his position beside Pharaoh. Before he left, Joseph made one simple request: "Remember me." Joseph asked the cupbearer to speak about him to Pharaoh and help him leave prison. But the cupbearer forgot. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years. Joseph remained in prison. He had been betrayed by his brothers, falsely accused in Potiphar's house, and now forgotten by the one person who could have helped him. Sometimes the hardest part of suffering is not the pain itself. Sometimes it is the waiting, the silence, the feeling that everyone else has moved on while you are still trapped in the same place. Joseph knew that feeling, but the silence would not last forever. One day, Pharaoh himself had 2 dreams that troubled him deeply. In the first dream, 7 healthy cows came up from the Nile River. Then 7 thin, starving cows came after them and consumed the healthy ones. In the second dream, 7 full heads of grain were swallowed by 7 thin and withered heads of grain. No one in Pharaoh's court could explain what the dreams meant. Then the cupbearer remembered Joseph. He told Pharaoh about the Hebrew prisoner who had interpreted his dream years before. Joseph was brought quickly from prison and stood before the most powerful man in Egypt. Pharaoh asked him if he could interpret the dreams. Joseph did not take credit for himself. He explained that the meaning would come from God. Then Joseph revealed the message. Egypt would have 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of severe famine. But Joseph did more than interpret the dream. He offered wisdom. He told Pharaoh to prepare during the years of plenty, to store grain, and to build a plan for the difficult years ahead. Pharaoh recognized Joseph's wisdom. And in one extraordinary moment, Joseph went from prisoner to ruler. Pharaoh placed him in charge of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself. The boy thrown into a pit had become the man trusted with saving a nation. Joseph organized the storage of grain during the years of abundance. Then the famine came, just as he had predicted. It spread across many lands, including the land where Joseph's family lived. Jacob sent Joseph's brothers to Egypt to buy grain. They arrived before Joseph, but they did not recognize him. Joseph, however, recognized them immediately. The brothers bowed before him. The dreams Joseph had seen as a young man had come true. But Joseph did not reveal who he was right away. He watched them. He tested them. He wanted to know whether they were still the same men who had once sold their brother for silver. Over time, Joseph saw that they had changed. They showed concern for their father. They showed love for their younger brother, Benjamin, and they were willing to sacrifice themselves to protect him. Finally, Joseph could no longer hold back his emotions. He sent everyone else out of the room. Then he wept. He told them, "I am Joseph." Imagine the fear that filled the room. The brothers knew what they had done. They knew Joseph had every reason to punish them. He had power. He had authority. He had the opportunity for revenge. But Joseph chose something greater. He chose forgiveness. Joseph told his brothers not to be afraid. He did not deny their betrayal. He did not pretend that what they did was right, but he saw that God had brought good out of a terrible situation. The same brothers who had sold him into slavery had unknowingly sent him to the place where he would later save their family from famine. Joseph's story does not tell us that suffering is easy. It does not tell us that betrayal does not matter. It does not tell us that every painful moment makes sense immediately, but it shows us that our worst moment does not have to become our final chapter. Joseph was betrayed. Joseph was forgotten. Joseph was imprisoned, but he was not abandoned. And when the moment came, he chose forgiveness over revenge. Maybe that is why this story still speaks to us thousands of years later, because many people know what it feels like to be misunderstood. To be betrayed. To wait for an answer. To wonder whether their life has taken a wrong turn. Joseph's story reminds us that even when we cannot see the whole path, there may still be purpose ahead. Sometimes the place where we feel most forgotten becomes the place where a new story begins. Thank you for watching Bible Stories Unfolded. If this story spoke to you, consider subscribing for more timeless Bible stories, meaningful lessons, and faith for everyday life.